Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. I'm glad you're here. I have a couple of fun fold cards that I want to show you today. They're quick, they're easy, but really just add a little wow to an ordinary card. So I'm glad you're all here. Please comment throughout the live video, and please share it now and or after. Sharing helps me reach more people in our paper crafting community. So why not invite everybody to join in the fun? After all, the more the merrier. This is the last month for our January to June mini catalog. And as of yesterday, Stampin' Up! Has posted the last chance list for that mini catalog. Many of the items are discounted, some even up to 50%. So there's some really great deals to have. All of the retiring products are available while supplies last only. So if there's something on your wish list from that catalog that you are sure you want, I would say grab it before it's gone. In addition, I have posted this list. I included it in my newsletter this week, and I have posted it to my Facebook groups, and also on yesterday, it seems like so long ago, I've been so busy. Yesterday morning, I did a Facebook Live right here on Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. And what I did was went through this mini catalog page by page, and it goes pretty quickly. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested, it's just another way to help you see what's retiring. I just went through page by page and told everybody, what was retiring. If there's an X on it, it's retiring. If it's something that is being sold at a discount price right now, I let everybody know that. So if you don't like lists, you can grab your own catalog, pull up that video on Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe right here from yesterday, and go through the catalog and mark yours as well. I'm a very visual person, so it helps me to see that when I refer back to the catalog instead of constantly going back and forth from catalog to list. I'm going to flip my camera around, and then I'm going to show you the products we'll be using for tonight's cards. While I'm doing that, I would appreciate it very, very much if you would share this Facebook Live. I also will point out that in the past, I did Facebook Lives 3 times a week. 2 of them were on my Stampin' Peace VIP group, and then Wednesday nights were always right here in Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. To make it easier for you and me to know exactly where we should be for Facebook Lives, I am now doing all 3 of my weekly Facebook Lives right here on my business page, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. I also then share it to my Stampin' Peace VIP group, or if you are a blog subscriber or one of my YouTube subscribers, it comes up there, but it's usually several days to a week later. Okay, so tonight we are using some products from the Beauty of the Earth suite, including this wonderful designer series paper. Do any of you remember seeing this? It was quite a while back, probably in the pre-order stage, that I showed you how to make 8 slimline cards from this one piece of designer series paper. If you missed that, you can pull that up on my YouTube channel. But there's a lot of watercolor throughout all of these papers. And I think you'll see that this is a designer series paper that, sometimes you might think of it as fall-like, but if you go through it, you can see that you can use this all year long. There's something in here for every season. And I just love that it is something that we can use year round. That adds to the versatility of it. Two other products from that same suite are the Beauty, or one other I should say, Beauty of Friendship bundle. And we won't be using the coordinating dies, but we are using the stamp set tonight. I'm also using the Inspired Thoughts stamp set. I need several sympathy cards right now, and they're basically for young men or middle-aged men, but I need some kind of masculine looking sympathy cards. So I'm pulling this With Heartfelt Sympathy sentiment from the Inspired Thoughts bundle. You can see that it doesn't have anything that coordinates directly with die cutting the sentiments, but it does have some wonderful tree images to die cut. So it pairs really nicely with the Beauty of the Earth suite. Oh, and one last new product I'm using, which really, truly is, I know I say this a lot. Looks like Helen, if somebody doesn't mind just typing to Helen McDonald, she may need to turn up the volume on her device. That's not something that happens on my end. Another favorite product is the TaylorMade Tags dies. I love these. You can stamp images, of course, but I've been using them a whole lot for stamping or die cutting sentiments. And I just love that we have the two different shapes and then 4 sizes of each. Comes in really handy. All right, so here is tonight's card. And I've used my tag here as a closure for the card. And then I can just tuck that under after I write my message inside and it's ready to put in an envelope and send. And then here's another one I did. Same layout, different card. So let me show you now how to make these. Now I'll make both of these cards with you. And the reason I'm doing that is I want you to see how I cut my cardstock so that I get 2 of these card bases out of 1 sheet of cardstock, 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You've heard me say before, if you can make 1 card, why not make 2? So most of the time I do make 2 cards at once. Even if I only need 1 card for any given purpose, I make 2 cards. That way I can build up my stash of cards as well, because it's nice to have cards on hand. So I first cut at 7 inches. Okay, I started with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, cut at 7 inches. Then I'm going to turn and cut at 5.5. These are your 2 card bases, and they are 5.5 by 7 inches. Then you're going to score this at 2 3/4. Fold that and whoops, drop that. And this is your card base. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Score it 2 3/4. Burnish that fold on the score line real well. And I've got my second card base. So I'm going to set this one aside for later. I'm going to make this card and then we'll go through it one more time with all the dimensions. The next thing you want to do is take a piece of 3 inch by 3 1/4 inch cardstock of the same color. So I'm using Night of Navy tonight. So it's 3 inch by 3 1/4. And I have the short side at the top. And I'm going to scoot this over to 1/2 inch. And I'm going to score right there. Fold and burnish that real well. And now I'm going to attach this to the piece of basic white cardstock, 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And this is what will go on the inside, but we'll then have this flap. So the only place you need to put adhesive is right along here. And you're just going to kind of center this along the edge of that white cardstock. And then just press firmly till you know it's held. And you can see I just eyeballed it. I'm pretty close. You know, if I'm off a little bit, I can always scoot up. But you want to press that down nicely, and then you're ready to adhere this to your inside of your card base. Now, keep in mind, I am not stamping a sentiment inside because I want to write a note to the people I'm sending these to. But if you did want to write or stamp something inside, you want to do that with your white cardstock right away before you attach the flap and before you attach it to the inside of your card base. Alrighty. The next thing you need is a piece of designer series paper that measures 5 1/4 by 2 1/2 inches. Okay, 5 1/4 by 2 1/2. Now, on this card, I just happen to be using both sides of the designer series paper, but you can mix and match any of the prints and patterns from the Beauty of the Earth. Is that what it's called? Beauty of the Earth designer series paper. Next, I'm going to add this piece of designer series paper. This measures, give me a second, 3 1/2 by 2 3/8. Now, if you feel better just cutting in quarters, cut it 2 1/4. But I've cut mine 3 1/2 by 2 3/8. And the reason I did that is I want the edge of this designer series paper to meet the edge of this fold on my flap. And then it appears to have even spacing all the way around it because you've got this edge from the card base. I was looking to see which way I wanted to turn my DSP. I think both ways work equally as well. And then the last thing I have to do for this card is make my tag. I went ahead and stamped it before going live. And now I'm going to cut it out with my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and the smallest of the tailor-made tags dies. Okay, tailor-made tag dies. There's 2 different shapes and there's 4 sizes of each of those. The other shape has a more rounded end, but I love them both. Well, it looks like everybody likes this so far. I'm so glad. Okay, I am going to add a bow, but I have a little trick for you. We could take our ribbon or twine right through that hole and tie it there. But for me, I think it's easier to just make a simple bow and attach it with a glue dot. I'm going to use 2 dimensionals, and oops, watch where I put these. The one I'm putting at the end, right over the hole. I know I'm going to cover that up with a little bow. And the other one I'm putting very close beside it. The reason being that this tag is going to hold my card closed. So I don't want to put any adhesive or dimensionals on that right side. And now I can place it anywhere I like. I like that placement, but I'm thinking just for something a little different that I would put it closer to the top. And you just want to make sure that your adhesive is where it's supposed to be and not holding this flap down. Make sense, right? Okay, so now I will make a little bow. On this one, I used Night of Navy, which I really like. And this is from the Well Suited Twine Combo Pack. This is retiring. I don't remember if it's on sale or not, but it is retiring. I love it. Used lots of it. This is my 2nd pack. So if you like simple ribbons and twines, I highly suggest this one. But this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. You've probably seen in our new annual catalog this package, this combo of twines, and there's 5 different colors. Now it doesn't exactly have the color I'm wanting, so I'm going to use the white, and I'm going to color it with, I have to find it right here. I'm going to color some white twine with my, need my scrap paper, with Cajun Craze Stampin' blends. Scoot some of this out of the way. And this is super simple. You really can add any ink to your twines and ribbons. However, if you use the Stampin' blends, this is permanent color because it's alcohol based. So it's not, you let it dry for a few seconds and then you make your bow and it's not going to rub off on your fingers or your card. Whereas if you use our regular Stampin' Write markers, these are water-based, just like our ink pads. So the ink will lift. It will come off just from the moisture of your fingers. If the card is being delivered by the mailman and it's raining and the envelope gets damp, that can even cause that color to bleed. So that's why I'm choosing to use the Stampin' blends. Now I'm going to try both. This is Cajun Craze Light. And this is Cajun Craze Dark. Oh, I kind of like that better. It's a little more orangey. The other possibility is to use our Cinnamon Cider. So I just like to try the different colors before, oh, that's a little too brown for me. I think I'm going to go with the Cajun Craze Dark Stampin' Blend. Let me just cut this off. And you can see how simple this is to do. Just take a length of your twine. And just color it. You might have to go over it twice because you're hitting the top side of it, but you might have some white on the opposite side. If there's a tiny bit of white showing, not a big deal, but if you're very particular, just know you may need to go over it a couple of times. And notice too, I'm not using the tip, I'm using the side of the brush. If you have a second person with you, you can hold the marker and the other person can hold the twine taut and kind of just pull it through as you hold the Stampin' blend in place. But oftentimes we are crafting by ourselves, unfortunately. It's always more fun to craft with friends and family and things like that. And I think that will be more than enough for a little double bow for me. Just go back over it one more time. Okay. Let me set this aside. And I would probably wait another minute or so if I weren't live, but I'm going to go ahead and tie this. I can feel that it's still a little bit damp. That's why if I were by myself, I'd give it a little bit more time to dry. You can see I'm getting not a lot, but a little bit of ink there. But that won't happen once this twine is completely dry. So this is a fun way, and I'm going to let this dry completely before I put it on my card. And I'm also going to wipe my fingers. Whoops. What's going on here? But won't that be a nice addition to this card? Okay, I'm going to set these here, up out of the way a little bit. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to get my Simply Chamois out. Instead of going to the bathroom sink, I'm just going to do this. And a lot of times it works for picking up that ink from your fingers. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and make our second card. This is the second one, and instead of using designer series paper for my front flap, that small flap, I'm stamping on it. I already have my card base cut from earlier. Go over that end. I do need to score this piece of cardstock, and remember this one is 3 3/4 by 3 inches. And to score this, I have the short side along the top, and I'm scoring 1/2 inch. Fold that nicely and burnish the fold. I've got stuff everywhere, don't I? It looks like it's organized, but it looks like organized chaos. Okay, so now I want to attach the flap to my white cardstock. Again, the white is the usual size for the inside of our cards, 5 1/4 by 4 inches. You're going to put your adhesive on, oops, I'm not in the screen, sorry. You're going to put your adhesive on the inside of that small flap only, and then press it onto. So you're kind of tucking the white cardstock into that fold, and then you just want to press it really well. I'm not stamping anything on that white, so I'm ready to just adhere this to the inside of my card base. I love that the multi-purpose glue is sort of forgiving. If I don't lay it down perfectly straight the first time, I can move it around a little bit. Got a smudge there from adhesive on my finger. I can wipe that away with my adhesive eraser. So now I've got my card base. I'm going to go ahead and add my piece of Designer Series paper. This measures 5¼ by 2½ inches. 5¼ by 2½ inches. I love this. It's just so gorgeous. The different shades of the various colors. I think just, it has that watercolor look to it. Just love it. All right, so now let's do a little stamping. Oops, I'm going to flip that over because I got some ink on there. I'm going to start with Early Espresso. I must have my camera positioned a little differently because I feel like I'm much closer, so I'm kind of at times missing the screen, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize it when I set it up. I'm going to stamp the Bare Tree in Early Espresso. I'm going to stamp some ground or grass in Mossy Meadow, right at the bottom of the tree trunk. And when I stamped this tree, what I did was stamped the detailed, the detailed leaves with cinnamon cider, and then I stamped over it with the more solid leaves with Mary Merlot. So if you could see this up close, I can see the different shades of cinnamon cider and Mary Merlot. You could also use one color, which I think I might do right now just to show you. Except I need a piece of scrap paper. I can use this. So I've got Mary Merlot, excuse me. I'm going to ink this up with that. Whoops, I didn't press right in the center. You know what? I'm going to let it go. Obviously I didn't. Do you see what my mistake? I didn't press firmly on the whole block. So I missed that. This is what it should look like. Oh, it still did it. I wonder if there's an imperfection in that or if it's just me. And then I'm going to stamp off with this and stamp on. But it really is just personal preference. I even like this version without stamping off. You just get a little more lighter variation when you stamp off first. Okay, this is space in the middle is really going to bug me. But maybe I'll just go over this like that. Ugh, looks kind of muddied. I don't know about you, but I feel the need to fix that. So let me do that really fast because somebody, or I should say 2 people, will win these 2 cards we made tonight. So I want it to look my best. Does anybody have any questions about this product suite or any other Stampin' Up! Products, the retiring mini catalog? If you do, just type in the comments and I'll try to catch that and answer your question live. If not, I do try to go back and read all of the comments afterwards and respond that way. And let's try this again, okay? Oh, much better. Now I'm happy. I can send that out. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you like this fold, Linda. The last thing I'm going to do, because if we put this on our card right now, this just looks a little stark when you compare it to the designer series paper right beside it. You can see the difference from this one to my first one. And what I did was a little bit of scrap paper. I used my Night of Navy. You can use any color blue, but I did Night of Navy just because that's what I was using already. But I always, when I use my blending brushes, I like to ink it up, and then I like to start on scrap paper in case it's too dark for me. And I'm just going to swirl all around. Just like that. And now I'm ready to add this to my card. Just do this, it's faster. Remember, when I'm adding this layer, I have the edge of it matching up with the fold of that small flap. And then I'm going to put my sentiment on there. Once again, when you're adding this sentiment, use a couple of glue dots on just the left side. We don't want any adhesive here because this is our way of holding our card closed. Just like that. Now for this one, I think I'll choose a different color from my twine combo pack. And I think this one goes perfectly. To make a double bow, you've seen me do this many times. You just take a length of ribbon and you double it like that. Cut some off. I always make sure I give myself enough to work with. There's nothing more frustrating than to be making a bow and you're running short on your ribbon or trim. And if you run short and can't make the bow that you want, you end up throwing that piece away and wasting it. A lot of times I don't even cut it from the bolt or the roll either, because that saves. And add this by putting one glue dot on the back of the knot of my bow, and that didn't pick up. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Let's move on to a different one. There we go. And I'm going to place that right over the hole of that tag. I think this is so much easier than trying to tie your twine or your ribbon, pull it through and tie it without ripping the end of that tag. But I think it's very pretty. You could always add more embellishments if you like, but I like the simplicity of this. I think we're just sort of letting the, how do I say, letting the designer series paper do the work of adding the wow. Okay. All right. Oh, this is good and dry now. Oh, wonderful. So once again, I'm going to use my glue dots. I'll go right there. So what do you think? Super easy, fun fold. It can be used for anything. You can even do layers of cardstock. Shanda says she loves them both. Hard to choose. I should do it this way. This was our first one or the second? one, left or right? Do you have a favorite, or do you like them both equally? Shanda and Linda say both equally. Fran says she loves them. Super nice. I'm going to quickly, while I have you all live, scroll back to see if I missed any questions, perhaps. Helen, I hope you were able to, you said your sound is on and the volume is up. I don't know why that would be happening. Wow, so many of you on. This is terrific. I appreciate you so much. Carrie says she likes the stamped tree best. Cindy says both, but if she had to choose, she would pick number 1. Leah says the one on the left. Melinda, both. Sharon says both. Mary Lou, both. Vicky Parker says first. Fran says second. Okay, interesting. Just a nice mix. I love, just love to hear what you guys think when we do similar cards, but change things up and actually make them different. All right, be sure to comment one last time if you'd like. Be sure to share. That helps get your name into the drawing a second time if you comment and share this video. And I'll choose winners to receive these. I know I announced the winners for the butterfly cards last Wednesday. I don't have my blog post quite finished for that, so I don't mail those out until my blog post is finished. So if you were one of those 7 people that won a prize last week, I gave away 6 cards plus butterfly embellishment. If you're one of those people, just hang tight. You will get it. It'll probably be next week, but it will be on its way shortly. All right, everybody, have a great Wednesday night. Thanks for spending part of your evening with me. Happy stamping.